Have a seat?
Sure.
It is an honor to meet you, sir. We did not get to meet backstage, but it's nice to see you. Congratulations on Mad Max, and tell us what was your decision to sort of revisit the franchise after all this time?
Here?
Yes, sir.
The story popped in my head and just wouldn't get away, like an imaginary friend. It just wouldn't go away, and I always, I love chase movies. I think they're the kind of purest form of cinema. That's where the film language started. I wanted to make one long, extended chase and to see what we could pick up about the characters and the story on the way.
Does it feel, did it feel familiar to be back in this world, or did it feel new to you? What was after all this time, what did it seem like?
Both ways. It was certainly familiar, but a lot of time has passed, the technology's changed. It was a real opportunity to go back and revisit it. So, it was a really interesting thing to do. Crazy, but interesting.
So, talk a little about like Tom Hardy and Charlize and Nicholas Hoult. Like, when you're building the cast, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with these actors?
Well, people often say that 75% of your job is done as a director when in the casting. So it's very specific to characters. Obviously, I was waiting for someone like Tom Hardy to come along that has all those sort of qualities. And Charlize, when eventually, I hope you get to see the movie, you'll know there's certain dimensions of Charlize which exactly fit the character of Furiosa. So, and the same in many ways with Nick Hoult.
Yeah.
So that applies to all of it. So but by the way, can I say this is my first Comic-Con?
Are you serious? This is your first Comic-Con?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
And I'm sorry to do this. I've got a family at home, and they don't believe I'm here.
Are you going to call them?
No. I'm not going to call them.
That'd be amazing if you called them. Hi, honey.
I'm just going to take a picture of it.
Do you want me to take a picture of you in front of it?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. There. That's amazing.
Fantastic.
That's adorable. Come on. Does she?
And I was, I grew up in a small rural town, and I was the kid who always got into trouble for drawing cartoons and reading too many comic books and going off and seeing too many movies and so on, and never dreamed something like this would be the case. That people come all around the world to some place like this. So this is, as Charlize says, it's kind of a spiritual home ground.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like, there's that, when you're a kid and then all the grown-ups are like, that's never going to lead to anything. And then later we realize that the generation before us is stupid. And that's what, for me, it was like, your video games aren't going to be anything. Like, shut up, I'll show you. I read in EW that this film, you did like 3,500 storyboards or something to put this film together.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. I actually was determined not to do the conventional thing, and that was write a screenplay. So we basically boarded the whole film as one long comic book, and it was 3,500 panels. And,
oh my God.
But so because there's not many words spoken in the movie, people only speak when they have to. And I wanted to try to tell the story as best as possible, just in pictures. And it was interesting. I worked with really great storyboard artists and comic artists themselves. Brendan McCarthy, with whom I co-wrote wrote the piece. Mark Sexton and Peter Pound, and we just sat in a room, and these panels came, and the story came, and that's, for the most part, a lot of the movie we shot.
Excellent. By the way, we're going to take questions in a few minutes, so if you have some questions, get ready for George. So take us back to 1979. How has the process changed for you? I mean, when you're making Road Warrior, then obviously, what are you building on? Like, what was the initial idea?
Well, put simply, it really is an opportunity to go back and tell a very, very simple allegory. they're kind of like westerns on wheels. And even though it's set in the future, like about 45 years in the future, you're able to go back to a much more elemental behavior, more medieval and so on, where there's no rule of law, there's no honor. Basically, people are surviving and doing what they can. So in that way, it's very, very much like those westerns. They're very spare and clear movie, and you can get away from all the clutter. And yeah, and for some reason, I just love wrecking cars and getting it on film.
And who knew that Mel Gibson would